If I told you there was a machine that could turn all these kitchen scraps into this compost-like material, would you be interested? Well, I certainly was. G'day, I'm Mark from Self Sufficient Me and welcome to my tiny kitchen. One day we'll get some renovations done and open this place up since we're such foodies. We've been putting up with this for 15 years and a kitchen renovation is due. But I digress. What we're here to talk about is not my kitchen, a machine. It's got a weird name. It's called the Nagual or something like that. So when they asked me, Mark, would you like to test one of our Naguals out? You know, it makes compost out of your kitchen scraps in under 90 minutes in your own kitchen. I went, yeah, I'm interested. Send me one and I'll check it out. Let's get into it. Crikey, this lemongrass is pumping along. Must have been all this extra rain. You didn't think I was going to do the whole video from the kitchen, did you? I'd get claustrophobic. You know, it's fair to say that this type of appliance or idea to compost kitchen scraps is not new. There are a few brands and products that do a similar thing. But I like these types of startups, especially in the sustainability area and small business and people having a go. And I hadn't seen a product like this before or explored one, so that's why I'm giving it a go. So the video is not sponsored. There's no affiliatization, meaning that if someone buys this product off my recommendation, I'm not going to get any kickback. And I've been using the heck out of it now for 5 weeks. And what interested me in the Nagual here was the fact that whilst I've got plenty of space to compost and several different composting methods, other people don't. There are people that are living in apartments. What the product does is it converts all this mushy and decaying kitchen scraps that can turn really sloppy in what I call a slops bucket, little composting buckets. They sit on the kitchen bench and you put your kitchen scraps in. You collect them over a period of time and then you put that waste where you need to put it after you've collected a bucket full. And that's good, that's fine, and for some people that's all they need. But what interested me with this is that it essentially does a similar thing, except you're allowed to collect more because it turns that into a dry and reduced down matter that can be stored odor-free anywhere you want in your apartment, your kitchen or whatever, and you can essentially store more of it and then get rid of it later, or you can have several different uses for it, which I will detail in this video as well. Thankfully, there's not a lot to the machine. It does what it says it's supposed to do. From my experience, most of the things that I've put in this have been processed within about an hour and a half. Sometimes, depending on the wetness, how much I've really packed it in, it can take 2 or 3 hours. I haven't had one run for 5 hours, but it can run up to 5 hours apparently for certain items. As far as what you can put in this machine, as we're going through, you'll see a whole lot of examples. Essentially, any type of kitchen scrap, like be it meat or vegetables, eggshells, tea bags, but what it won't do is really heavy bones. I haven't done fish bones or small chicken bones in the thing, but I did throw some heavy lamb bones into the machine to see if it actually would grind them up, and it didn't. The machine pretty much stopped quickly and wouldn't go any further, and I had to unblock the thing. Flashing, it stopped. Stuck. And there's a instruction manual that comes with the machine that lets you know exactly what you can and can't put in it. But essentially, don't go silly with it. Just compost down your normal kitchen scraps that you're preparing to eat yourself, or that you maybe didn't eat, and then that would go into this machine 100%. Before I first started this machine, I had a look at it, and with those arms in the bottom, I thought, how is this going to work? This is going to be fairly noisy. Is it going to be like a blender thing that drives me crazy sitting in the kitchen? And the truth of the matter is, it's pretty quiet. I've got my fridge going in the background here. You might be able to hear the buzz of that in my mic. Hear it? Maybe, maybe not. But I can tell you, this machine here, the Nagual, it's quieter than the fridge. And you don't hear it or notice it. We've got a TV in the same living room just near the kitchen, and you don't really hear it running at all, even as it's crunching up or slowly grinding up some of those larger foods, like maybe an avocado seed and potato skins that are getting crunchy. It doesn't make much noise at all. The other thing is, it doesn't take a lot of power. I haven't put a power thingy on it, but at an average power of 150 watts, it really doesn't suck that much juice. And I think it's on the Nagual page as well, on the Indiegogo page, the power usage, and they rate it as something like a cup of coffee a month to run, and they've done the figures on it. And speaking of operations, well, all you need to do is put your kitchen scraps into the bucket. The bucket has a line at the top that you shouldn't go over, although I pushed the limits on that line a few times and I didn't have any problems. And then you put the lid back on. The lid has an easy on and off, lock and unlock system. It's really simple. And then there's only one button on the top here. It's an LED type magnetic touch button. And when you press that, it lights up blue below here and it tells you it's running. One thing that did concern me was, would the thing smell? I mean, if it's dehydrating food and crunching it up, would it sort of give a burning or cooking smell in the kitchen? That's another surprisingly good thing for me to find out, was that it didn't at all. You don't get any odor whatsoever out of the Nagual. That's because in the bottom here, it has two cylindrical carbon filters that it uses to obviously filter out any of the odors. And you can get those carbon filters separately as well. The unit's super easy to clean, and I don't clean it very often, but there has been a few, or maybe one from memory, that kind of stuck to the bottom a little bit. But all I did was soak it in some water for a few hours and then it came off really easily. It's not the type of appliance that you're going to be cooking things to eat in or anything, so it's not something you really have to clean every time. I mean, you can if you want, of course. So at the moment, it's ticking a whole bunch of boxes for me. Effectively, you're going to compost your kitchen scraps down faster by processing it through this first and then putting it into your compost pile or a composter or a worm farm or whatever, and you're going to get your compost faster than you would waiting weeks or months in the elements or in a traditional composter, say like a tumble composter or a bin composter. You could also give it to your chickens. Now, I've got a composting chicken ring down in our chicken area. I've been experimenting with throwing in the mixture of kitchen scraps that have come out of the Nagual into the composting ring and just letting the chickens go through, eat what they want, and then the rest can just go back into that compost. It gets scratched around or amalgamates in with the rest of the composting down materials. So this is a really good secondary use for those of us that have poultry, particularly hens. Use it as a chicken scratch feed. You can store it, so you don't have to give it to them all in one hit. And what I've found is they really do love it. And I've experimented with putting the processed kitchen scraps in the pen and they've cleared it out within 24 hours. And then they wanted more. And the hens have done a good job. They're looking for more still. Well, they cleaned it all up. Yeah, very good. Obviously that works. They really love it. Overall functionality or operational wise, I've had no problems with the Nagual. It's been a really good machine to operate. It hasn't failed. It's done the job. And yeah, the chickens love it. there. There's some real stuff. It might not turn it into compost, but it processes it into something that I myself can work with, and a product that lots of other people I could envisage would like better than a sloppy compost bin that's fermenting and drawing in fruit flies from outside. I think I'll give it a thumbs up, and I'd be interested in what you think. Is this going to be a winner? Would you purchase it? Or do you think it needs a little bit more work, or do you think it's impractical? Put your comments down below in the comment section. I'll be interested to read them and see what you think. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a big Nagual thumbs up and share the video around, because that helps my channel out heaps. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Yeah. Happy.